What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Mash&Drum Whiskey Room. I am Jason C, and today we are tasting round 2 of the top 10 selling bourbons in the US according to the online wine and liquor ordering and delivery service website, Drizzly. So last episode, I picked 5 random bourbons in the top 10 to go head-to-head in a blind tasting. The top 2 were Woodford Reserve and Buffalo Trace, while Maker's Mark, Basil Hayden's, and Jack Daniel's went back on the shelf. Today is an interesting round 2 featuring the remaining 5 bourbons on the list. If any of you missed the list, then take a look at the top 10 selling bourbons according to Drizzly one more time while I set up round 2. Now that you got a chance to recap the top 10, remaining in this blind tasting are Four Roses, Knob Creek, Jim Beam White Label, Evan Williams Black Label, and the number 1 bourbon on that list, which was surprisingly Bullet. Let's see which 2 bourbons in this blind tasting moves on to the final round to go against Woodford Reserve and Buffalo Trace. All right, so I'm gonna mix these around one more time here while I'm on camera. Just to mess up the order a little bit. So I poured these a little bit a while ago. They've been sitting out, don't know what's what. So let's see here. I'm gonna start on this side. And before I dive into the next round, can I just say, and a lot of you guys called this out after watching round 1, which was the glaring omission of Wild Turkey on the list. Any Wild Turkey. No Wild Turkey 101, Long Branch, nothing at all. Also, Old Forester. Where was Old Forester Signature, which is 100 proof, 23 bucks. I don't know, maybe the higher proof scares some people off. But you know, there's Old Forester 86 proof as well. I don't know, just amazing that those 2 brands were not on the list to me. I don't know, just like, what are you guys drinking out there? There's great stuff on the shelf that you're missing out on. Well, actually not on the shelf because this is based on deliveries. So there's a lot of stuff you're not ordering, guys. Come on, millennials. All right, let's go to glass A here. First on the nose, here we go. So immediately on this nose, I get cherry and apple. Right off the bat. Definitely some corn sweetness there. There's a hint of mintiness is there as well. Definitely some light vanilla, light caramel. There's a citrus note in here as well, maybe a little bit of orange peel. A little bit of oak too. This is actually a nice balanced nose. It's not overly sweet, it's not overly oaky. It's, you know, most of this stuff's gonna be on the younger side. Except for the Knob Creek. The Knob Creek in here is the one that's 9 years old. I think everyone else will kind of pale in comparison on the age factor there. But let's go for a sip of this one, see what we get. Man, not a whole lot going on the palate on that one. It's very sweet up front. You do get those cherry notes, you get the vanillas. A little bit of citrus. There is a mintiness aspect on the back of that as well, which makes me think maybe Four Roses a little bit. I don't know, let's go for another sip. The second sip has a little bit more of a bite to it. Definitely nice balance. I like the mintiness in it that I'm getting on the back end, but cherry, apple, citrus all in the front of the palate. A little bit of sweetness. Not a lot going on as far as mouthfeel or finish. Again, this is pretty light. Let's go for one more sip on this one. Yeah, I mean, it's a good solid bourbon, just very easy, not too complex, not too weak either. Right in the middle, good flavors, good balance. But again, nothing really extraordinary jumping out of the glass, but it's definitely a good solid sipper. I could see why whatever that is would make the list, because it is kind of a easy sipping drink. It's got a little bit of a bite to it. I don't think that's on the lower proof scale. I think that's maybe that 90 range. So I don't know, I'm gonna take some notes. All right, now we're going to glass B. Let's see what we get here. This has got some dusty, oaky, like peanut butter funk going on. Like that one a lot. Like peanut shells. A little bit of fruit characteristic to it. There's a slight hint of maybe cherry there as well. I don't get too much, I'm not picking up too much of a citrus note on here. I'm definitely getting a lot of vanillas, caramels. Like I said, like peanut shell. Definitely some oak presence there as well. There's like a roasted vanilla characteristic in here too. That's really nice. This is super balanced on the nose. Really liking this one. Let's go for a sip here. Oh, that's good. That one's a lot more interesting than A. This one comes off a lot of vanilla and caramel up front. You definitely get that peanut shell, that dusty corn note to it. Good oak balance. This has definitely a better finish than letter A. Let's go for another sip on this one. Ooh, that's getting sweeter too. That has a really beautiful balance of dark caramel with some darker caramel in there. Definitely some vanilla, some sweetness, some like vanilla custard type flavor profiles going on. Definitely a little bit more of a bite on the back end. Liking this one. Definitely better than A. Wow, it's getting fruitier the more I sip it. That kind of peanut shell note I was getting is starting to take a little bit of a back seat. And now here comes more of the fruit, the vanilla, a little bit of spice. That's just a very, very nice balanced bourbon. Definitely has a better mouthfeel, a little bit better of a finish than letter A. All right, that might be my leader in the clubhouse right now, but I only had 2 so far. All right, now we're heading over to letter C. Let's see what we get. Ooh, this has a nice nose too. This is a little bit more on the citrus side. Yeah, this is more like orange peel, vanilla, caramel, a little bit of there's a sugary spice to it that I'm trying to pick up here. I think it's cinnamon sugar. There's a little bit of a nutty characteristic to this one as well. That might throw me off a little bit. A little bit of fruit, but it's a little bit more drying. I don't mean drying in the sense where I think it's gonna be dry. I'm just not picking up a lot of like fruit characteristics that would maybe think it's a little bit more of a fruitier profile bourbon. It's a little bit more of a like dusty corn, vanilla, caramel. Definitely some oak in there, not a ton. That's just a good solid nose, so let's go for a sip. Here we go. Oh, that one's very sweet. A little bit thin on the palate. Ton of vanilla in that one. A little bit more than any of the others I was picking up. That's a lot of vanilla sweetness. Let's go for another sip. Oh, second sip was better. Again, after a sip of water, sometimes you need a couple sips to get all the water out and just get all the bourbon in. Okay, the second sip was much better. Definitely got a little bit more of a bite on it. More caramel came through. A little bit more of an orange spice. Definitely a little bit of a peanut funk there as well. But really sweet, really balanced. I'm liking this one a lot, actually. Yeah, more on the sweeter side. I think letter B here had a little bit more oak, a little bit more balance to it. Definitely on the sweeter side on letter C, but still has a little bit more of a bite to it. I still like it over A. A just felt really flat to me, and that's important considering letter A was my first glass in this flight, which means a lot, because sometimes when you're palate sensitive to the first glass, everything in your first glass might explode or come off as really good no matter what it is, because it's your first taste. But B and C are definitely taking over A a little bit here. It's just sweet, balanced, not too much going on, but definitely more interesting than A, I think. Not sure if I like it over B though quite yet. We'll have to go back to that. Let me take some notes. I like that cinnamon note I'm getting in C. All right, let's go to letter D here. Let's see what we get. Oh, this one's very light on the nose. Very, very light vanilla here. I'm getting some bright fruits in this one, which is weird. I'm getting like a like an apricot or a peach flavor here. Man, this has a ton of citrus on the nose that I'm picking up. Well, not citrus. Man, I can't get over like this peach, like this, if you've ever had those, like those gummy peaches with the sugar on top. That's what I'm finding in this glass, and I'm trying to get past it here. Yeah, definitely some spice. Definitely picking up some rye spice there. A little bit of oak. Not so much caramels. I'm getting the vanilla and the peach flavor. I'm also picking up like a hint of smoke in there too, which is very odd. All right, let's go for a sip of this one. Here we go. Yeah, even on the palate, you're getting those, like that peach note and the mint, the sugar, vanilla. Very, very slight hint of baking spices. That smoke note that I was getting on the nose, I am not getting it on the palate at all. I don't know if that was just something I was getting in my nose. Let's get another sip here. That one's good. Getting an apple note in there as well. A little bit of a candied apple. Very, very light caramel, but not much at all. This is more vanilla, peach. Like I said, I can't get past that peach note that I'm getting. Peach or apricot. That's crazy. But on the finish, there's really not much going on. It's very thin, not a lot really hitting the back of the palate at all. This is all up front, and even on up front, it's very thin. The flavors do kind of go away quickly, unfortunately. So even though I like the nose on the one, it was a little bit unique. The palate's kind of failing me a little bit. So I'm just writing down peach bomb for this one. All right, on to the last one, number 5. Here we go. Or letter E, I should say. This is, again, I'm getting more of those peanut shells. Maybe there's like a hint of like milk chocolate in there I'm picking up a little bit. Definitely some oak, very light vanilla. There's a hint of spice there too. Not really sure if that's cinnamon. Definitely getting like a corn mash vibe in here on the nose too. I think this is definitely on the younger side. Let's go for a sip of this one. That's really sweet on the palate. Very sweet. Get a little hint of honey there. Mixed with the peanuts, like honey roasted peanuts. Or like honey bunches of oat cereal. Anybody eat that? I love my cereals. It's like my weakness. Yeah, Lucky Charms, Fruity Pebbles. Oh my God. I'm a sucker for those. I don't know what it is. I think it was something like growing up. My grandmother used to buy me all those different types of bad cereals, and I still see them on the shelf, and I'm like, I need the sugar. Let's go for another sip of this one. Yeah, it's just like honey. It's weird. It's like honey roasted peanut, but then once it gets to the palate, it turns into like cotton candy. It is so sweet. Not a lot going on in the palate on this one. Very thin, but very sweet up front. Man, I can see why that one might be popular. I mean, that's literally drinking pure candy. That'd be great in a mixer. I probably wouldn't like sip on that one all night, but that would probably be a good mixing bourbon. All right, guys, let's taste through each one of these one more time, then we'll rank them and find out who the top 2 are. So let's start with back to letter A here. So yeah, same thing that I had on my notes. Cherry, apple, definitely a hint of like mintiness, a little spice on the back end. Not too much going on the finish. It's not bad. It's pretty good balance. But yeah, as I just let it kind of rest on the back of my palate, it's just not doing enough to like really make me want to keep going in that glass. Let's go to letter B here. Oh yeah, now letter B's got the goods. Letter B, there's definitely more flavor punch coming through, more of a finish. Again, kind of, there's like that peanut funk going on, some oak, some cinnamon. It's getting, like I said, you're getting all these fruit flavors in here. The cherry or maybe like a raspberry too on here. Yeah, probably easily the best finish out of all of them. This one has a little bit more of a lingering finish, some pepperiness there. Really good, really solid. Let's go to letter C here. I really like C too. C is actually pretty good. It's not nearly as interesting as B, but you know, the flavors are there. I like the balance of C. Yeah, it's just sweet. It's really good. Nothing too exciting though, but just very solid, balanced bourbon. All right, let's go to this one here. This was kind of the weird one, which was like peaches and cream. Yeah, I'm still getting like that peaches and cream note, but there's just nothing really else to it. Not really getting a lot of, like barely any finish on this one. Yeah, it's all right. And then the last one, which is like the candy bomb, I think. Yeah, that is just all sweet up front. Tons of candy. That one's not bad. It just doesn't have like the balance to it that I'm looking for. I mean, if you just like drinking candy, then that one's gonna be one that you like. And I could see why that is a highly rated choice there. All right, so give me a couple minutes to kind of go through these. I'm not really sure what my number 2 is gonna be. There's clearly a number 1 for me, but let me go through my rankings and I'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. It is time to rank these and find out which 2 are going to the final round to go against Buffalo Trace and Woodford Reserve. Last place was pretty easy. I'm going to go with letter D as my last place. That one just really didn't do anything for me, actually. I liked it somewhat, especially it was different, the peaches and cream flavor, but then it had really nothing going on. Next to last place was going to be letter E. This one was the one that was just like drinking pure candy. Not a lot of balance to it at all. There was like a peanut cotton candy combination thing going on. Just wasn't for me. Now, the real issue I had was second place. So first place is easily letter B. Letter B was above and beyond all of them, I think. But really came down to letter C and letter A. These two I was having the hardest time with choosing which one to put through. They're both close. They both have decent balance. It was just a matter of which one from my palate I liked. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put letter C through to the next round because A was really close. A was almost there, but A just, I don't know, there was something about it on the back end that just wasn't doing it for me. So I'm really curious to see how this turned out because aside from the Knob Creek, the other 4 I really don't drink that much. So I'm kind of curious to see where these fell. The Four Roses, I've only had that in mixers. I've never really had it straight, so not really sure where that one fell. Bullet, I have drank, but I don't really go to it often, and it is number 1 on the list. So I'm curious if it was one of those top 2. Let's find out. So let's go to the last one here. All right, so last place was the Four Roses, which that makes sense. Again, this was like very peachy, very vanilla, but it really had not much going on. For those of you that don't know, this is 80 proof. It definitely tasted like it was 80 proof. There was really nothing going on at all. Let's go to this one. So this was the candy like peanut one. I'm guessing this might have been the Jim Beam White Label. And it is the Jim Beam White Label. Wow. I could see why people would love this one. And I gotta tell you, I still go into the liquor stores here and people are still buying this one off the shelf. And I understand. It's very sweet. There's not a lot of burn to it. It's like candy, and I could see why people would use that either to sip on or for cocktails. This is a definite gateway bourbon, I think. People taste that sweetness, and you can easily get into bourbon through this bottle, I think. All right, so now we have the top 3 here. These 2 were my painstakingly, I have no idea. All right, here we go. So, third place was Bullet. Bullet came in third for me, which is a little surprising given it's number 1, but really not surprising. Granted, the weird, like, funky aftertaste I was getting on it, which means number 2's got to be Evan Williams because it's so much lighter than 1. Yep, Evan Williams here is number 2. So this is 86 proof. And I just think it's a better tasting bourbon overall than Bullet was. And then no surprise here, Knob Creek coming in first place. It's 100 proof, it's 9 years old. Easily the darkest out of all of them. I had a feeling that might have been the Knob Creek, but that one easily was head and shoulders above it. So it looks like Evan Williams and Knob Creek are going to be going head-to-head against Woodford Reserve and Buffalo Trace in the finals. This is an awesome tasting. I wasn't really sure where Bullet was going to fall, but I am actually not surprised I picked Evan Williams. Evan Williams has kind of been a really good budget go-to sipper for me lately, and whether it be in cocktails or just throwing it in a glass or using it as a blend or as part of a blend. I think it's just a very versatile whiskey, but that Knob Creek, man, I knew that one was going to be hard to take down. We'll see how it does against Woodford and Buffalo Trace. All right, guys, well, thanks for watching round 2 of the top 10 best-selling bourbons according to Drizzly, the delivery service website. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram and follow me on Twitter. Let me know if you were surprised by the results, if you were not surprised by the results, if you're still pissed that Wild Turkey or even Old Forester were not on that list. Always love talking to you guys. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. I'll see you soon on the finals. So cheers. Take care, everybody.